Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Gill-Collins, and I'm a consultant on the Presque Isle Bypass project for the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. This project is in 3 phases, the first of which is nearly complete. The aim of this project is to build a 2-lane bypass route around the city of Presque Isle. The hope is that this will minimize large vehicle, logging truck, and tractor-trailer traffic through downtown PI, with the hopes of improving safety in areas that have seen high collision rates. The picture to your left shows a section of the Phase 1 road, which is very near completion. Phase 2 is still in mitigation, but should begin within the next few months. With this particular project, we saw multiple environmental impacts, the first of which was a destruction of 5,446 square feet of wetlands that we lost. The Phase 1 was located near the Aroostook River, and because of this, there is a potential for excessive amounts of chloride in the river, which would be due to de-icing materials used on the roads during the winter months, specifically December through April. We could also see an increase in chemical or debris runoff from the construction site itself. With these environmental impacts, we can also see some health impacts. One in particular is the destruction of habitat of animals, which causes their displacement into areas such as the road. Animals such as deer and moose could end up in the roadways, causing more frequent animal-related collisions. The picture to your left is a deer print that I found near the Phase 1 construction area. The deer and moose have been using the recreational trails that are adjacent to the bypass section on State Street Extension, and they've been using that recreational trail to cross the roadway. As you can see in the picture to the left is the recreational trail for the ATVs and snowmobiles. To the far left of that picture, down a little gully, is where the bypass is. And to the picture of the right are several deer prints that were taken off of the side of that trail. Another indirect health impact for this particular project was the concern of a loss of revenue in an already dwindling economy since Loring Air Force Base closed in the early to mid-90s. With these closures, a lot of businesses lost income because the amount of individuals in the area left. With the individuals leaving, there was a lot of business closures as well. Going forward, I have several recommendations that I feel will be very useful in helping to minimize any environmental or health impacts from this project. The first of which is to monitor water sources that are in direct proximity of the construction areas for contamination. Use silt fences or berms of mulch, which will help erosion and sedimentation. Use fencing, mark roadways with animal crossing signs, or build in an underpass or overpass for animal crossings to help prevent animal-related collisions. Also, by building stores or restaurants near the bypass, this should help to bring in revenue. My colleague, Scott Belair, and I have been extremely impressed with the company that's working on this project. At Bellatier and Sons have been extremely proactive and receptive to any suggestions we have given them. Any random checks that have been made have shown continual compliance with all regulations and issued permits. Instead of using silt fences, which tend to be the norm, they've been using berms of mulch, which is more effective and easier to use than the silt fence. Mediation for wetland destruction is a 10-to-1 compensation. What this means that for every 1 acre that's lost, 10 acres must be set aside. If a company chooses not to do this, a fine can be paid, which will help to fund the enhancement or creation of additional wetlands. The photo to your left is of a farmland near Phase 2 of the project. Other ways of monitoring would be water quality. We can monitor for 6 to 12 months and see if the water quality is acceptable. And then, if it is, continue annually to check for increased sodium chloride levels. We can continue to do random checks of the site as well as ensure compliance addressing any and all problems that arise, which will help to minimize any negative impacts. The photo to your left shows the end of Phase 1 and the beginning of phase 2. In the very back of the photo, you can see where some of the wetlands begin. This area has a considerably larger amount of vernal pools and freshwater wetlands, which will make this more of a challenge, but mediation and continued compliance from all the current parties should minimize any detrimental effects to our environment and the health of PI citizens, should these recommendations be followed. I'd like to thank you for your time and careful consideration of these recommendations.